Out here on the far edge of Wyoming, where the wind carries more secrets than words, a man's life can turn on something as small as a promise, or as heavy as a lie. This ain't a tale about romance, not the kind folks whisper about in the churchyard. This is a story shaped by dust, drought, and desperation. A story about a rancher named Jonas Hale, and a woman who walked out of the desert like a ghost with unfinished business. A woman who would change the course of his life, on the very night they were forced to marry. So settle in. The wind's blowing hard tonight, dragging memories across the plains. And this is how it all began. Jonas Hale stood alone at the edge of his pasture, the land cracked open like old leather left too long in the sun. 3 years of drought had stripped everything he owned, his cattle, his savings, and maybe even his pride. Nothing left but dust, bones, and a stubbornness too deep to carve out. He knelt, scooping a handful of dirt. It sifted through his fingers like the last hourglass of his life. From behind him, hooves thudded, slow, deliberate, confident. Only one man rode like that in Briswell Valley. Baron Flint Kincaid, owner of the mine, owner of the water, owner of practically everything around here, except Jonas's stubborn little patch of land. Jonas, Kincaid said, sliding off his horse with the grace of a man who'd never once bent down to pick anything off the ground. You're out of time. The well on your property's dry. My offer still stands. Jonas didn't turn. Didn't blink. What offer? Kincaid grinned like a knife being sharpened. You marry the woman I choose, he said. And I give you the finest mule in the territory, strong enough to pull that plow you're so fond of pretending can save this dirt. Jonas finally looked up. Why would a man like you care who I marry? Kincaid shrugged. Let's call it a favor. A business arrangement. A way to settle a delicate matter. Jonas stared into the man's cold gray eyes. Something was wrong here. But he didn't have the luxury to question it. Not when he was one bad week away from losing everything his father left him. He swallowed hard. All right, he said. I'll do it. Good, Kincaid replied softly. The wedding's tonight. The sun was sliding behind Red Hills when the wagon approached. Dust swirled around it like a veil. Inside sat a woman, broad-shouldered, tall, wrapped in a heavy desert coat despite the heat. Her eyes were something else. Cold. Sharp. Like they had seen death, and hadn't looked away. Kincaid introduced her with a grin that didn't belong on a wedding day. This is Miriam Lockridge. She nodded once. No smile. No warmth. No hint she cared what her future husband looked like. The ceremony lasted 4 minutes. No music. No family. Just dust blowing across their boots as they said vows nobody believed. When the preacher left, Jonas offered Miriam his arm. She didn't take it. Instead, she walked past him and into the small cabin like she'd already lived there for years. Jonas followed, confused but too exhausted to push the matter. Then, he heard it. The click of a lock. The bedroom door slid shut. Locked from the inside. Jonas froze. This was his house. His room. And his new bride had just locked him out of it. What are you doing? He asked quietly. Her voice came through the door, steady as a rifle barrel. Sit at the table, Jonas. We're going to talk. When she opened the door, she didn't step aside politely like a proper bride. She moved with purpose, like a soldier clearing a room. She set a Colt on the nightstand, placed a leather satchel on the table, pulled out a small vial filled with cloudy liquid. Then she met his eyes. I'm not here to be your wife. Jonas didn't flinch. Something in him had been expecting this all along. So he just asked, why are you here? She breathed slowly, as if steadying a storm inside her. I came to kill Flint Kincaid. Jonas felt a chill, though the cabin was warm. She continued. He murdered my father, stole our land, drove my sister to her grave. I've followed him across 3 states. And now I'm here to finish what he started. Jonas stared at the vial. What's in that? Something that makes a man die slow, she said. I was going to slip it to him during the dinner he arranged after this wedding. The problem is, someone needs to take the blame, and that someone is you. Jonas sat very still. So you were going to frame me? Yes, she answered without hesitation. I needed someone desperate, someone hungry enough to accept a marriage arranged by a devil. Wind rattled the window. Lantern light trembled. Jonas exhaled slowly. Well, he said. You were half right. Her eyebrows lifted. Half? He leaned forward, folding his hands. Because I am desperate. But I'm not a fool. He reached under the floorboard near his chair. Pulled out a bundle wrapped in canvas. Inside were maps. Ledgers. Documents stamped with official seals. Miriam stiffened. You've been collecting evidence, she whispered. 6 months' work, Jonas said. Every illegal water diversion he ordered. Every piece of stolen land. Every miner who died in those shafts because he refused to reinforce them. Miriam's eyes narrowed. You plan to take him down? Yes, Jonas replied. But not with poison. Not with revenge so quick it lets his soul slip away before justice hits him. He stared into her eyes. I want him ruined. Bankrupt. Stripped of everything. I want him alive long enough to feel it. Silence thickened between them. Then, for the first time, Miriam looked at him not with suspicion, but recognition. You're not what I expected, she murmured. Neither are you, he answered. They laid everything out on the table. Her 3 months of tracking Kincaid's riders. Jonas's months of documentation. His plan to deliver it to federal marshals. When she mentioned the vial again, Jonas reached over and picked it up. That ain't poison, he said. She frowned sharply. What? He opened the vial and let a drop fall on the table. It evaporated instantly. Colored saltwater, Jonas explained. I bought it from the same traveling healer you did. Paid him double to give you a fake. Miriam's jaw tightened. You knew about me before today. I've seen you shadowing Kincaid's riders for weeks, Jonas said. And I figured anyone that determined had a reason. A real one. He closed the vial. And I wasn't about to let you throw your life away on a murder charge. For a long moment, Miriam said nothing. Then she sank into a chair, shoulders lowering, not in defeat, but in something closer to relief. So, what now? She asked. Jonas studied the maps. Now we play a slower game. But we play it together. The night had settled deep when Jonas heard it. Hooves. 6, maybe 7 riders. Torches flickering through the cracks in the window. Miriam was already on her feet, hand on her Colt. Jonas whispered, That's Kincaid's men. As if on cue, a voice roared outside. Jonas hailed, Come on out, the Baron wants a word. Another voice, Marshal Warren, the corrupted sheriff. You're under arrest for conspiracy against the Kincaid Company. Miriam growled. They must have learned we're working together. Jonas shook his head. No, they learned you're here, and Kincaid wants you silenced. He peeked through the window. 6 riders. 2 wagons. And a wagon loaded with oil barrels. Jonas grabbed his rifle. What are you doing? Miriam asked. Ending this on our terms. He aimed, not at the riders, but at the wagon. Specifically, the torch one of the men was holding too close to the leaking barrel. He exhaled, squeezed the trigger. Boom. Fire tore into the sky, knocking men off their horses and lighting the entire yard in orange fury. Chaos erupted. Screams. Shouts. Riders scrambling for cover. Miriam stared at him. You planned that? Jonas shrugged. More or less. Smoke rolled across the yard. Flames roared like the breath of some angry god. Miriam wiped ash from her face. I need the roof, she said. Jonas blinked. The roof? She held up a storm lantern. It's a signal, one the federal marshals have been waiting on. Jonas stared. You've been working with them this whole time? Not officially, Miriam said. But they've been tracking Kincaid too. They needed a witness. Someone who survived him. Jonas nodded slowly. Go, I'll cover you. She climbed out the window and onto the roof as sparks floated around her like burning snow. Against the glow of the fire, she looked like a figure carved from the storm itself. She raised the lantern high, swung it 3 times, paused, swung again. A coded message. A call for justice. Hoofbeats thundered across the ridge. Jonas looked up. 12 riders. Coats long. Badges glinting. The real federal marshals. At their front rode Marshal Elias R. Hayes, broad-shouldered, silver-bearded, eyes sharp as flint. He shouted down into the chaos. Flint Kincaid, you're under federal arrest for water theft, land fraud, and murder. Kincaid, covered in soot and fury, tried to run. 2 marshals tackled him clean off his horse. Warren, the corrupt sheriff, fired once, wild, desperate. Miriam shot the gun from his hand without blinking. The fight lasted 4 minutes. Furious, loud, but the outcome was never in doubt. The law had finally arrived in Briswell Valley. And this time, it wasn't for the wrong man. As dawn crept across the valley, the fire had calmed to glowing embers. The marshals loaded Kincaid and his men into wagons. Marshal Hayes tipped his hat toward Jonas. You kept good records, Hale. You just saved half this valley. Then he nodded at Miriam. And you've done your father proud. When the last wagon vanished over the ridge, silence returned. Not the empty kind Jonas had grown used to, but a peaceful one. A healing one. Miriam stood beside him, watching the sky shift from ember to gold. You still don't have to stay married, she said softly. Jonas chuckled. After a night like this? Seems like we'd make a pretty decent team. She looked at him, not smiling exactly, but softer than before. This place, she murmured, it could be something again. Jonas nodded. It will be. If you're willing to help me rebuild. She turned toward the horizon, where the world seemed wide open. I've been running a long time. Jonas. Maybe it's time to stop. He offered his hand. This time, she took it. Out here in the frontier, stories don't always end with roses or rings. Sometimes they end with 2 people standing in the ashes of what almost destroyed them, and deciding to build something new. Jonas Hale found more than a partner that night. He found someone who carried her pain like he carried his. Quietly, stubbornly, and with the grit of a soul shaped by the West. As for Miriam, she found a place where her ghosts could finally rest. And the land? It breathed again. Slowly. Patiently. Just like the people who now called it home. The frontier is hard. But sometimes, it gives back. If you know how to listen.
If tonight's journey brought you peace or helped ease a weight you've been carrying, go on and tap that like button, partner.